Remember this sand vitalia that I showed you last month, I think? I just wanted to show you, since I showed it to you last time. Look at how big it's gotten. It's in a pot, really happy. I have one. This is my husband's. Mine is a minuscule part of what this one is. And you can press the individual flowers, which is what I do open-faced. This is a Philippindula blossom. My husband's just really proud of it. They have slowly volunteered into a couple other plants. What's really pretty about them is how fluffy they get. These flowers are just starting to open, but look at how fluffy they are. Beautiful little pink color. I really don't do anything with them because my husband doesn't have that many flowers, and he won't let me pick them for pressing because then he wouldn't have any flowers, because he's all about the display, as you've heard me say before. But just for him, I'm filming this because it's in really good shape and it's looking wonderful. This barrel of begonias is really, really happy, and I like to use them in eco printing. They're way too wet to press traditionally, but I won't be able to use them until later in the season when they're starting to get spent and they're not looking good anymore, because this is in my husband's pot and he won't let me go for it until later in the year. But this pot's looking really, really nice, and so I wanted to go ahead and include it in the vlog. Something else that you can press traditionally and make it through sometimes is geranium. And there's Martha Washington geraniums, and there's all kinds of different geraniums. And this particular kind, I don't press too often, but it will make it through. But I'll press the individual blossoms by pinching it off on the back and do it open face. And then in eco printing, they work really, really well. And again, here's another different kind of begonia. And I use those in eco printing later in the season when they're getting spent, and he says, okay, go ahead and grab them. That one's looking really nice. This is a pansy that my husband grew from seed this year, and they're starting to look really good. And I'll come and get some of these once in a while and press them. And there's enough of these now that I can go ahead and start picking some without ruining his display. Last month I think I talked about pressing some leaves of the celosia that had these red leaves that my husband bought 2 plants of and gave me one. And I just wanted to show you, because I don't know if I did or not, how beautiful these leaves are. And they press well. And then of course here's the plume. And when I press celosia, I will press the plumes by kind of fanning them out a little bit so that it's not quite so much bulk, or parts like this. Or I'll pick some of these lower parts off and press them individually and then press the top in a cluster. So there's a lot of different ways that you can work with celosia. They hold their color really well for a long time. And then here is another little clump with kind of more of a orangish red, and then this yellow. I showed you this before, but since then I did press some, and I pressed some in profile, only a couple of them, and then I also pressed it this way, just like that, left the stem intact. And the yellow washed out a little bit, but actually of course, usually when you press things, pinks and reds go deeper, and it did go deeper, but it held its color and it pressed just fine. I wish I knew what this was, but I don't see a tag anywhere. I want to make a quick comment since I mentioned that I had, since talking about it before, that I had pressed them. When I first started this garden blog series at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, oh, I'll just show the flowers, then do a little snippet of me pressing them, and then show you what they looked like when they were pressed. But that's not working out because there's just too much going on. So really, if you're watching this, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in. Uh, but the way to think about it is, if you watch the In the Garden blogs and you're going, well, what do they look like pressed? Go check out a lot of the um, peeking at flowers. So for example, something that I'm showing in the garden blog now, or for example last month, won't be coming out of the press until now, or a few weeks or a month from now, where I would be doing a peeking at flowers, because there's got to be a lag time between doing this, the vlog, and the results. And so please, if you're wondering, look at the different playlists. The playlists that go together would be the vlog or In the Garden, then the peeking at flowers, and flower pressing demonstrations. Because pretty much I'm just going to be breaking them out into those particular segments. Astilbes are just coming on right now and getting right at their prime. Except for the white ones in the background, they're starting to get a little spent. They came on earlier, but these pink ones are in their prime. They're really good for pressing. And what I do with them is I will typically press just the clusters like this. So I'd clip this off and press, 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 and then when I get to this tip end, then I'll press the whole rest of the tip. They hold their color well. They're really pretty. Astilbes come in a number of different colors, typically leaning white to pinks, and purplish pinks is what we mostly have. And here's a little bit darker of Astilbe just getting ready to come on. The ones toward the left are still in tight bud form, and then that one toward the right, you can see it lower down on the plume, it's just starting to open up. Here's a variegated Jacob ladder that my husband just bought from the store the other day. He hasn't planted it yet, but I love the leaves, so I'm going to try. I'm going to come and I'm going to take a couple of leaf pieces and try pressing the leaves and see how they work. And then the bud is just starting, so I don't remember what the flowers will look like. This is Crochismia, and you can press these tips and the blossoms. You might have heard me say last year or in some other videos, I prefer the orange ones, which aren't in bloom yet. These go really kind of a deep coppery reddish color. They're interesting, but not nearly as nice as the regular Montbretias that are orange, that hold their color for a super long time. So I don't pick too many of these, but I do pick some. And these are pretty tall, because I've got my arm extended straight out from my shoulder, so you can see how tall these are. There's a lot of snapdragons in here that my husband started from seed, and we had so many flowers, and he had them in these little 4-inch pots that we got done planting things toward the end, and we had so many different things going on. I was like, oh geez. So we ended up, because each of those little pots had probably about 8 to 15 little seedlings in there, because we didn't thin them out. So he took a couple of them and I took a couple of them, and we just kind of tore them apart into clumps of probably 4 or 5 plants. And here's one of his clumps that he put in here, and that's kind of what happened. There's a bunch of different colors. And I do press them. They will press. And what you do, let me go use this one since is I'll either press them on the stem like this, where I kind of force them, where you see the stem down the middle, and press them in profile, or when I press them what I call open face, is, thinking about it, maybe I showed you one of these last year. Let me pick a yellow one off. What I'll do is I will, like that, I'll put them on the book like that, and then this goes down like that, and so that it'll kind of press looking like that, only flat, and they work pretty well. And with these multicolored ones like this, you don't really know what they're going to look like after they're pressed, but generally they look really nice. So let me just kind of go around here and show you some of the colors. That one's really pretty. Here's another kind of snapdragon that came from the seeds that my husband did, and I've never seen this kind before. It doesn't have your typical snapdragon flower. Looks more like a trumpet type flower. Really interesting. But snapdragon it is. Something else that's doing good for him right now are these zinnias, and I think he started these from seed too. And I really like. I think I talked about these last year, or last month, where I picked the. You can't press the head because they're way too thick, so I just press the individual petals. This particular clump is doing really well. Here's some more celosia, and then in the back there's some orange copper marigolds, which I take them out of their sheath and then I press the individual florets. And then something else that presses really well is lobelia. And for lobelia, I will press the whole stem end like that in a botanical form, and I will press the individual florets. Here's a couple other colors of marigold, and again I just press the florets. Here's some purple statice, and generally for statice I'll just dry them upside down and use them in dried arrangements. And when I'm pressing them in the flower press, I will press them in smaller pieces, either like this, or I will press them singly, and a lot of times I'll even take them out of this green sheath and just press. I only have one hand right now. I'm holding the camera with the other hand. I don't know if I can simulate that with one hand. Yeah, anyway, I will, there, I got one out. See? And I'll just press it like that. My husband is a hosta fanatic, and he's got a lot of different kinds. And I really, really like them, and I'm looking for something, trying to figure out something to do with the leaves. I've tried drying them, and I actually dried them in the heat press, which worked pretty well, and with the iron. But they're very resinous, waxy when they dry, at least when I did that. And I couldn't get any of the normal glues that I used to stick to it. It was kind of like trying to glue wax. So I'm still trying to find something to do with them. So anybody that's used hosta leaves or has some creative ideas, I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, the day breeze is getting started. You can see it, how these are already starting to move. My husband brought this home the other day, and when he showed it to me, he was like, I got something to show you. You're going to be jealous. And I went, oh, you got to be kidding me. That's gorgeous. Why didn't you buy me one? But it is beautiful. And it is a Coreopsis hybrid superstar. Oh, I just love it. I know it's going to press well. I bet it's going to work really well for eco-printing, and also traditionally. And again, since I've never pressed this before, the first thing I do is press the center, and I think to myself, yeah, that'll press traditionally if I put it under enough weight. I know these petals are going to be gorgeous, and I have no doubt they'd hold the color well. So I might have to take a couple today. This is a yellow Marguerite daisy that actually came back from last year, and this center is a lot harder than some of the other daisy type flowers that I showed you today, and so I don't really press them traditionally, but they work really well in eco printing. Something else that's coming on now is the clematis, And these come back every year, and it's a climbing vine, and it's climbing up this shrub right here. I will press them, and what I do is you can press them in profile. And if I press them in profile, I take some of this bulky center out because you won't see it anyway. So you can press it in profile, or you can press it open face. Or sometimes I will disassemble these because these are so big. This one isn't as big as some of them. We have some with a lot bigger petals and different varieties and different colors. They come in all kinds of different configurations. And sometimes, as I was saying, I'll take the petals and I'll press the petals separately from the centers and then reassemble them when I'm making an arrangement. Or you can use the petals for petal art. And what's really cool is look at the back. I think sometimes the back is more exciting than the front. So you can kind of choose your options. Okay, I think we'll call it good for today. Just real quick, that's a nemesia, and that, of course, is marigold. And then this pink one, which my husband and I both really like, is called Angelic Series, and then you can read the tag. I'm not even going to pronounce the name. You'd think for as many years as I've been dealing with plants that I would know all the botanical names fluently and be able to talk intelligently about how they're pronounced, but no, my brain just isn't, I guess, big enough to hold all that. So please forgive me when I try to say botanical names and I don't say it right. I know a lot of you know a lot more about how to pronounce it than I do, but anyway, that's why I'm showing you the tag. If you have any garden tips or tricks or secrets or things that work especially well for you, I'd love to hear about it. Thank you to everyone who subscribed or leaves wonderful comments, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, and you have a wonderful day.